Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot, with your host, Josh Anderson.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Making Big Shifts podcast by Marketing Reboot. I'm your host, Josh Anderson, and we talk to real entrepreneurs making really big shifts and the real results that follow. Today, I am really excited. I've been looking forward to this call all week long. We have author Brynne Tillman. She's the co-author of The LinkedIn Edge, which is a new sales strategies for unleashing the power of LinkedIn plus AI to cold call less and sell more. So Brynne, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, I've been looking forward to this all week long. We use LinkedIn a ton on for our outreach, mostly just developing relationships and then see where that goes. I'm really excited for this conversation because it's a way people can make big shifts in their outreach in general, right? Like some people are doing LinkedIn now, but how can they use it to do less but better?
Interesting you say less but better. I'm going to say, how can they slow it down? So how do they slow down their outreach to speed up their outcome? So I'm going to back up for a second, if it's okay. And I'm going to talk about there are really 4 major pillars in LinkedIn that salespeople, sales and marketing folks really should focus on. The first one is the branding, right? How am I showing up? My profile, what is the message? Am I showing up as a resume or as a resource? And what does that look like when people come visit me? The second one is the content and engagement strategy. Who am I talking to? What value am I bringing? Am I handling this in the with the right mindset where I'm not out there trying to sell, I'm trying to engage? Am I bringing value? All those things. The third pillar is the networking pillar, the connect and build relationship pillar, right? And this is typically where people stop. And I heard you say something like, we build relationships and then see what happens. But as salespeople, we want to get to the fourth pillar, which is how are we using this to start trust-based sales conversations? How are we earning the right? So the fourth one is prospecting.
Yeah.
So those are really like the 4 pillars to focus on. No one is any more important than the other, and they really all need to play in the sandbox nicely, because any one of them as a loose link will break the
That makes sense. So I was going to ask if one's more foundational than others, because I just from face value, you think that profile optimization would be foundational, just probably for like the LinkedIn search algorithms too, right?
So yes, but profile optimization is very different in the eyes of a lot of folks, including LinkedIn. So LinkedIn will give you 100% because you've filled out every section. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, right? So people show up in different ways. The most common way is you show up as a resume, because LinkedIn really encourages the resume building side of your profile, primarily because they are a job seeking tool first and a sales tool second, right? So that's how they encourage it. If you, as a salesperson, let's say, or a marketing person, build it out with all of the stats of how successful you are. Maybe, if you're talking about, I know you talk more about marketing than sales. I tend to talk more about the sales than marketing, but honestly, in today's world, they are so intertwined.
It's an ecosystem, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let's call it all business development. Let's come from like this higher level of business development. When you're showing up from a business development perspective, where the goal is to start conversations with buyers, and you show up as an award-winning marketer or a president club salesperson, or I hit 1.7%, 170% of goal, or all of I am the king of MQLs, right? Like your prospects are going to not only not care about it, but also be turned off by
Yeah, it's
it.
been an instant red flag, right? Because this guy's trying to sell me something. Exactly right.
Exactly, right? So if we now shift the way that we position our profile, where we say optimize, but really the shift is from resume to resource.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes this is where salespeople, the second way salespeople or marketing people or business developers show up is they'll show up again with, they've moved from resume to all client stories. And I think that this is valuable, like how we've succeeded, where some of that is important, but a lot of that is not what works at the top of the funnel.
Yeah, that's true. It's more mid to bottom funnel content for sure.
Right, right. And so if we're using LinkedIn for top of funnel,
Yeah.
our profile needs to be set up as a landing page, a top of the funnel landing page. So as a marketer, you could appreciate there is a big difference in messaging
Yes.
when we're trying. Our goal with LinkedIn is to get them to move from lurker to engager, because we can't start a conversation with someone until we know who they are.
Yep. Yep.
And our profile has a very important role in that positioning.
Very interesting for sure. And that all makes complete sense. It all came to, it was like aha moment in my head as soon as you said that. Be like, that just makes absolute sense from a marketing perspective. That's what we try to do with everything we do, right? I think that's brilliant. I know we've that's the first thing that you mentioned, right? And we talked about relationship building, which is very important, of course. But then you go into the fourth one. You said that people they stop after relationship building and don't get to the fourth one. So why are they stopping at that building relationships and not using it anymore?
Well, and so I'll clarify. There are two mistakes. One is they stop at the networking piece. The second one is they pitch too soon, right? So now I've jumped into prospecting, but I'm prospecting like I'm a cold caller on LinkedIn. So now, and I missed the relationship building piece. Oh, we're connected now. I'm going to tell them how I can help them succeed. And with AI today, there's engineered empathy that becomes icky. So I really like the work that you're doing at Social Sales Link. And I love that, or if I'm reaching out to you, Josh, I might say, I love the work you're doing at Marketing Reboot. And I noticed you went to the University of Missouri, Columbia, and I love the mascot there, right? Like, you're like, wait, what? Right? Like you're trying too hard to personalize this in a way that's not natural. So I go, ick, right? You're like, yeah, that was
Totally.
great.
Yeah.
That information was great. And then they go, the reason I'm reaching out is because we've helped 170 million companies just like you do this. And you're like, yeah, you did not build rapport. You faked it. You engineered it. So there is a difference between really building relationships and rapport and faking it.
Totally.
Right. And so AI has created this engineered empathy, engineered relationship building tactic that's completely broken. So that's why we want to slow it down, because we need to keep it human. Right.
Sure. Agree.
And by the way, it is so obvious when people are using AI and automation that it's worse than cold calling. Because cold calling, they hang up on you and they don't remember you, or they delete the message. On LinkedIn, they see your logo, your face, your
True.
shared connections.
You
Like,
just
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You just feel fake to them going forward, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a terrible way to pretend to start a relationship. Right?
Yeah.
So we did, we talked about the profile. We skipped over the content
We did.
engagement, which, by the way, is very, very important. We get to the networking where we have now connected with new people. How do we convert them to a sales conversation? That has to go back to the content and engagement. So I'm going to bring it back. Like, you can't do the prospecting authentically if you haven't earned the right. And the way you earn the right is two ways. One is by bringing tons of value to them through content and engagement, or through a referral. Those are the primary ways that you are going to build a relationship that can convert to an opportunity. Now, mindset. You cannot rush this. And this is really hard for people because marketing is a little bit better at the slow burn. Sales is terrible at the slow burn.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Right. And a lot of it is because of the way leadership looks at KPIs.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
when I'm working with sales teams, we're like, okay, we need to rethink KPIs when it comes to social selling because they don't translate from your other KPIs. We've got to change this up. So from content and engagement, and it's not just content, by the way. Equally, it's your content and your engagement. You can't just post and expect you're going to build and earn the right for people to have conversations with you. You've got to engage with their content. You've got to actively ask them to engage with your content. So it might be, hey, Josh, I just put out an ebook on the 10 greatest mistakes people make with their marketing. As someone who is an expert in this space, I'd love your perspective and comments. It would bring a lot of value to my audience. So I'm starting a trust-based relationship with you around your expertise, not mine.
And it's almost like that. What is that? I think Ben Franklin was the one that asked when you ask somebody for a favor and they actually do it for you, they actually like you more just because there's that relationship building aspect of it.
I'm going to go find that actual.
Yeah, it's a true thing. Yeah. So back in the day, Ben Franklin, if he had an enemy, he'd ask them if he could borrow one of their books for his collection so he could read it. And that would like be a start of turning that enemy into a warm relationship.
Who knew I had that much in common with Franklin?
I'm gonna look like a big idiot if I'm completely wrong about that, but I'm like 99.5% sure. So
Well, even if it isn't Ben Franklin that said it, that's a really great lesson. So you won't. And I'm gonna bet that only 3 people that listen to this podcast will actually Google it. So
that's true. Oh,
you're
we'll
fine.
take that. We'll take that. Yeah. Well, I do like that approach though, because like we produce a lot of content and like our main mantra is minus the engagement is like produce. I like I'm the worst salesman in the world because I hate selling. I want to produce as much value out there as possible to, and then people, when they truly need our opportunity or us, they'll come to us, right? So
Right.
I like the idea of actually, because it takes a lot of time and effort and resources to produce content, right? So you want it to be seen as much as possible. So I love the idea of reaching out to get people to help you share it. Hey, sorry to interrupt the podcast really quick. If you're getting value from making big shifts, please subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next conversation. All right, appreciate it. And now back to the podcast.
Well, and to get their perspective.
Yes, that's true.
Right? So a lot happens in that, right? And then you do podcasts. I think every business developer in all the world needs to do podcasts because now, thank you so much for those insights. I think that this is really valuable, and I'd love to have you as a guest on my podcast. Or if you're not doing a podcast, this is where sales and marketing has to come together, and the silos need to be broken down. Because maybe we say, you know what? We're going to build a benchmark report. Marketing's going to own that. But I want all the salespeople to do the research. And the research is go out and talk. Each of the salespeople need to go out and talk to 10 people to include them in the benchmark report.
Yeah.
So now I start conversations with prospects without prospecting. And this is where it's a little slower and sales gets a little anxious. Like, when am I going to hit my number? But recognize if you do this consistently, you'll create the flywheel effect. It just takes a little longer to get there, but you've built deep relationships, right? So now you've got marketing who's owning the writing of this fabulous benchmark report, but you've got the salespeople doing the research, recording it on a Zoom, and just sending the recording to marketing to deal with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, like you're so right. Like that's this podcast. Like we're gonna have a 25-minute conversation, right? And I'm truly not trying to sell you anything. You're not trying to sell me anything. But we're just like building a nice relationship by having a cordial conversation, changing values and ideas, and that is such a relationship builder. To your point.
Now, let's say you say something or I say something and you go, I've got some ideas for you, Brynne, afterwards, right? Like we have a conversation, say, Brynne, I heard you say this about marketing benchmark reports. And now I'm thinking I'm going to throw you a bone, right? You may have clients that don't have the marketing support to actually do the benchmark report for theirs. I'd love to talk to you about ways that we can partner on this. And now, right? And you would say it after the podcast, not while we're here, but we would stop the recording and you might say, I'd love a second call. You don't necessarily do it on this call because this was for people. You don't want people to feel like they were bait and switched, right? But if you're like, man, when you said that, I really might, and I'm sure you're, all these things are going off. I'd love to continue this conversation. Would you be open to scheduling another call? And I'm going to say no. No, of course not. Right?
Exactly.
Because we've built rapport, we've built a relationship, we've got this going. And I think it's amazing. The other side, the flip side of the coin on this is go get yourself booked as a guest on podcasts. If you go to the search bar in LinkedIn and you type in, for you, it might be, what are some of the industries that are listening to this podcast right now?
SaaS, biotech.
Okay, let's go biotech, right? So we have a sales person who is in biotech and she's killing it around what? I don't even know what's going on in biotech. What's happening in biotech?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's uncertainty with all the FDA changes. So let's just go, people focus on ROI, like in any industry, of course, right? Let's just say clinical trial ROI. Let's just go.
Okay, clinical trial, let's say.
Yeah.
So I go in to LinkedIn and in the search bar, in quotation marks, because it's 2 words, I put clinical trial. And then I type in capital A, capital N, capital D, and in quotation marks, podcast host. And I get a list
Totally.
of everyone, and I might have to click people, and I get a list of everyone on LinkedIn that's a podcast host where clinical trials are mentioned. And now I get a nice little one-sheeter that my marketing puts together for me that includes some content I might have published or, quotes from clients or whatever you do as marketers to make them look really good, right? And so now I reach out and I say, and I listen, by the way, I go listen to an episode or 2. And then I come back and I go, Frank, noticed on LinkedIn that, you're running a clinical trial biotech podcast thing. I listened to a couple of episodes, really loved the one with Ann Jones. I thought that was a ton of insights. I am not sure if you're exploring additional guests.
Yeah.
But if you are, I have a great topic around clinical trials I'd love to pitch to you or propose to you. Let me know if you're interested. I have a one-sheeter I can send over.
Yeah. Yeah. And that format you just sent me, I get probably 15 of those a week of people
Sure.
like that, right? And I always take time to listen to each one or read each one because, and several
Yeah.
guests have been from that. Why wouldn't you look at that? So that makes sense.
Yeah, and LinkedIn is a great way to find those folks, but I'm going to tell you, so is AI. You could go into, I'm personally geeking out on Gemini right now, but my life has been ChatGPT for two years. But I'm sneaking over. I felt like I was cheating at first,
Yeah.
like cheating on chat because
Totally.
that's my bud. But I'm loving it. See, just absolutely loving Gemini. But just go in there and say, I'm looking to be a guest on all these things. Please find me the podcast. Give me the LinkedIn URLs for the hosts. Give me a link to Apple or Spotify link, whatever all of that is, right? And so, and if you say, give me the LinkedIn link, you could even say their email, right? However you want to approach it. I do everything in LinkedIn because that's my platform of choice. But at the end of the day, now you've got content, you're getting in front of the right audience through a podcast. You've brought value. And by the way, don't pitch. You don't talk about, and I've had hosts, where I'm a guest, say to me, tell me a client success story. And I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I mean, I will if I have to, but I would rather give tips and strategies that people can go implement. And I earn the right for them to follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me. And I would say probably I get 20 to 30 people a month that say, just heard you on this podcast. Let's connect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the same mentality on a lot of that. Like that's spot on how I do things as well. And I think it's the right approach, right? Because you're seen as the expert in whatever niche, of course, your LinkedIn and things like that. So as people are rolling out some of these amazing tips and going to check your book out here, I know this is hard to say because probably by industry and by salesperson's quota, but how many hours per week should people be using LinkedIn for these aspects?
All right. I'm going to just tell a quick story. In 1992, I was working at Dun& Bradstreet, and they had an all hands on deck because they were rolling out email for the first time. It was called CC mail. It wasn't even email. It was CC mail. And I had a hissy fit. And I sat in Mary Ann's office, my boss, and I said, how do you guys expect me to fit this into my day? Really, honestly, do you know how much I have to do that now I have to do this? You imagine today not having email as part of, like, have you gone more than an hour that you're not with a client without looking at email? It's integrated into everything you do.
For better or worse, for sure.
So I feel like LinkedIn is integrated, right? Like 10 minutes before we got on the call, even though I had looked before, I'm on your profile again. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, yes, I remember I read this about him. I'm like, oh, and then I remember saying, gosh, where is Jefferson City area? And then I had to Google it because it didn't say a state, right? So now I'm getting on this call with a little pre-call planning. That's all just naturally part of my day. I'm doing that before every single conversation, whether it's a podcast or a prospect or a network. Like, I'm doing my pre-call planning in LinkedIn, right? Who do we have in common? I'll look at why did we connect, right? Or if we haven't connected, I might send out a connection request, all those things, right? That is all integrated into my day. Everything I do. I'm going to get on a call with a client. I'm going to click a few buttons and bring up a list of all the people that client knows that I want to meet. So if the time is right, I could say, Josh, I'm so glad we were able to help you with X, Y, and Z, and that we've taken you here and all these great things. I hope you don't mind, but I know you're connected to quite a few people on LinkedIn that I'd love to get in front of. Can I quickly share my screen and go through these names real quick?
It's a great approach. I love that. Yeah.
Right. So that is just integrated. So where is the time? The time is in content creation, and the time is in a little bit of engagement, but not a ton, because my engagement comes from, I'm doing my pre-call planning. If there's content, I'm going to engage on that. Right. So my engagement is also kind of integrated into my day. It's the content. So here is what I'm going to say. If you are in a company with a great marketing department, ask them a favor. They'll become your BFF, right? Go work with them to create the kinds of content pieces that you need to attract and engage your targeted audience. Take the walls down of that silo.
Yeah, for sure.
If you do not have a marketing department, hire Josh.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
No, makes sense.
Salespeople should not be creating content. However, they should be sending transcripts of their recordings to marketing to leverage. Because salespeople are saying genius things on every call, and every call is a note taker today. Right? So we have Sybil, which is our note taker, Sybil.ai. It's amazing. But what I love about it is our marketing team can grab all the transcripts without asking us. They can go in, there's a hub of transcripts, and they can grab it and say, what are the best things Bob Wood said to a client this week? And it will pull them from all of the Sybil. Like Sybil lives in an AI.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it'll say, give me the top 10 tips that Stan talked about this week. And they don't have to even look at the recordings. It pulls it all up. Then marketing grabs that and uses it. So this is the future, which you didn't ask me that question, but if you said to me, what's the future of sales and marketing? This is it. The walls come down. Marketing has complete access to the sales call transcripts, and they're leveraging it to create the content sales needs in real time.
That's great. And I love the approach of using your salespeople's their talking points, but I also love the idea of actually directly from the horse's mouth what a client might say they need. And if that one client's saying that, you can use exact words for prospecting. I think that's a great approach. So I love that idea. I know we're getting towards time here, but I got a couple more questions. In terms of like, I know we went back and forth. A lot of this is slowing down to do it better, right? How are you incorporating AI as well during that journey for your LinkedIn prospecting?
Oh my gosh, how much I love AI, but I don't use it. Be very cautious about using AI to write your stuff before you've trained it in your voice. Okay. Number one, we have a prompt that anyone is welcome to connect with me and say, can I have the prompt that helps me train AI on who I am? In today's, like in Gemini, it's in gems. In ChatGPT, there's custom instructions that are minimal, but you can create projects where you just put in tons of PDFs of all your transcripts, and it really starts to learn your voice. So, and you don't even have to ask me for the prompt, because you could ask ChatGPT, how can I teach? How can you, right now you could say, I want you to learn my voice. What do you need from me? And really all your transcripts will do that. So, and then you need to say, this is the magic piece. When you're writing my content, use my voice. Do not research. If there's something you don't know, ask me before you give me the output.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do not research.
Yep.
Use my transcripts, right? So I have probably 1,000 hours of transcripts. I also have like an AI coach, like Brynne AI, right? Like that lives on a platform called Fuel. I just keep sending transcripts, and people can ask questions based on every transcript, right? So you can do that in ChatGPT. So that's really important. Where I get the best use is pre-call planning. So and proposal writing. Now, I have a template that I had a professional marketing company develop. I'm sorry, I didn't know you yet. I would have come to you. But I had a proposal, and it was like 10 years ago that I had this template made. And I literally will, I bought it. It's right, it's mine.
Yeah.
I upload the template, and then I say, fill it in with all this new client information that I got from the client call. So I talk with the client. We talk through what's going to be in the proposal. I have a project that's proposals that I have the template. I put in the transcript, and it gives me a proposal based on the whole conversation we had.
Love it.
It's amazing. And then because my prompting is, if there's something that doesn't match if there's a blank space in the proposal where you can't map it to my conversation, ask me.
Yeah. That is a golden nugget, honestly, that part right there, because, I've been using it the same way, creating projects, and everything that you put in there is your database, right? That the GPT is to be built off of. I love that idea of just telling them to ask you if they're hallucinating or which they don't do very often, of course, right?
Well, Chat GPT does. Gemini has not hallucinated on me yet.
Okay, good to know. Those are
It's
good, great
connected
tips.
to Google, and it has better indexing.
Yeah. All right, great points. Love that. Now, as we're wrapping up, tell us a little bit more about the LinkedIn Edge and where we can go look and get it at.
Wherever books are sold. The LinkedIn Edge. So honored to have been a big contributor to this book, co-author with the most incredible Jeb Blunt from Sales Gravy, who arguably may be he and Jeffrey Gitomer may be the most published sales writers of all times for the number of books. And I'm doing my AI with Jeffrey Gitomer, so I feel like I've got all my bases covered. But this book is really a tactical guide. It really, there's very little. I mean, there's strategy and there's tactics, but there's very little fluff.
Love it. That's my style.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, thank you for
But I'll just say, Jeb's, what he does with LinkedIn is different from the way I approach it, but his way works fabulously well for some folks, and mine works fabulously well for others. And we've really brought it together, and I think we've covered pretty much what salespeople need to succeed.
love it. Yeah, I mean, just that nugget to begin with, slow down and do just what you said in the very first sentence, I think was
Slow down your outreach to speed up your outcome.
well, Brynne, truly, thank you. This has been a really fun conversation. I know before we even started, I said we do this for 25 minutes or so. We went over that just because I love the conversation. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. And all right, guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to this episode of Making Big Shifts by Marketing Reboot. Please sure to subscribe and like, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to Making Big Shifts by Marketing Reboot. It would be a huge help to us if you subscribe to the channel and share this with somebody that you think needs it. Your support helps us continue to bring great guests on board and keep the conversation going. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Making Big Shifts. Like, share, and follow for more. Join us next time on Making Big Shifts, presented by Marketing Reboot.